this is better. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, entitled The Appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. Text 24. Translation by His Divine Grace and purport also by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. O trustworthy Brahmanas, I now ask you about my immediate duty. Please, after proper deliberation, tell me of the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances, and specifically of those who are just about to die. Purport. In this verse, the king has placed two questions before the learned sages. The first question is, what is the duty of everyone in all circumstances? And the second question is, what is the specific duty of one who is to die very shortly? Out of the two, the question relating to the dying man is most important because everyone is a dying man, either very shortly or after 100 years. The duration of life is immaterial, but the duty of a dying man is very important. Maharaj Parikshit placed these two questions before Shukadeva Goswami also on his arrival, and particularly the whole of the Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning from the 2nd canto up to the last 12th canto, deals with these two questions. The conclusion arrived at thereof is that devotional service of the Lord Sri Krishna, as it is confirmed by the Lord himself in the last phases of Bhagavad Gita, is the last word in relation to everyone's permanent duty in life. Maharaj Parikshit was already aware of this fact, but he wanted the great sages assembled there to unanimously give their verdict on his conviction, so that he might be also might be able to go on with his confirmed duty without controversy. He has especially mentioned the word Shuddha, or perfectly correct. For transcendental realization of self-realization, many processes are recommended by various classes of philosophers. Some of them are first-class methods, and some of them are second- or third-class methods. The first-class method demands that one give up all other methods and surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus be saved from all sins and their reactions. Verse again, translation. O trustworthy Brahmanas, I now ask you about my immediate duty. Please, after proper deliberation, tell me of the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances, and specifically of those who are just about to die. Hare Krishna. Today we continue with our seminar on spiritual steadiness, how to bring our spiritual practice to Nishtha level. Nishtha means fixed devotional service. And this question of Maharaj Parikshit here at the end of the first canto is very significant also in this connection. We discussed on Wednesday about faith, how to acquire faith, and why faith is important. And we established that every living being is endowed with such or one or another faith. is full of faith. We said that even atheists are full of faith. Of course, in their own conviction. But nevertheless, this is just faith. And the difference between faith of an atheist and of a Vaishnava is that atheist has blind faith, and Vaishnava has some foundation for his faith. And this is really important, to have foundation of our faith. We shouldn't have blind faith. And that's why Shastra is always telling us that we should inquire about absolute truth. So we shouldn't take anything blindly. We should inquire. And this is the beginning of Bhagavata, in fact. Sutta Goswami says in second chapter of first canto, Jivasya tattva jigyasa, that we live just for inquiring about absolute truth. And it's also confirmed by Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. It says, Etava neva jigyasa tattva jigyasa natmana anvaya vyatirikavyam yat sarvatra sarvada. That one should inquire about absolute truth in all circumstances, directly and indirectly, and in at every time and every place. So the Vedas don't recommend or support spiritual laziness. So we should be very diligent to inquire in about the absolute truth. Yes. And this is also the question of Maharaj Parikshit. What is our duty? Duty means to achieve our goal. By duty, we achieve our goal. Otherwise, why should we do any duty? Or at least we are afraid that we'll be punished. And by this, we will not achieve our goal. So, duty is leading us towards our goal. And what is our goal? Do you remember from previous class of seminar? Krishna Prem, yes. This is for those who know more deeply. But for everyone, what is the goal?
To become happiest.
Yes, to achieve the ultimate state of happiness. Suprasiddhati, as we said. Suprasiddhati, yes. This is the goal of every living entity, in fact, not just human being. Yes. Please come. Can we maybe close the windows because it's quite noisy? Yes. So we said just that the goal of every living entity, not just human beings, is to become suprasiddhati. Prasiddhati means happy, and suprasiddhati means completely, perfectly happy. Yes. And the whole Bhagavatam and whole Vedic literature is meant to teach us how to become suprasiddhati. And today we have the continuation of our seminar about how to bring our sadhana, our spiritual practice, to the level of nishtha. That means spiritual steadiness. How to be steady in our spiritual practice. Yes. And the second thing in our spiritual journey, when we acquire faith, and of course this This is not just one point in our spiritual journey. So we have now faith, and then we can continue. But we should build our faith and support our faith with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We always have these three points of checking things. We should not accept blindly. If something is not supported by Shastra, we shouldn't accept. And of course, we should learn Shastra through the wisdom of acharyas who received this knowledge from Krishna directly, and through disciplic succession. So we should not just accept because someone told us so. And this is dangerous, as we discussed in previous class. We should have Shastriya Shraddha, because Shastriya Shraddha leads us to devotional service according to Shastra, and not Lokiki Shraddha, not Shraddha that some people tell us what is right and what is not right, because then we will be deluded, because most people are deluded. Yes, even if they, many people very think that they can discuss authoritatively on spiritual subject matters, but they do not know anything, and they do not practice themselves, and so they have no experience, they have no scriptural knowledge, so they're completely ignorant about what spiritual progress is all about, and they don't even know what is the goal. So we last time we mentioned this comparison, that if you want to go somewhere and you use GPS as Google Maps or something, you what do you have to put in? Yes, our current location and destination. Without knowing of our destination, we won't go anywhere. And even if we know our destination, we should also know our current location. Yes. So after acquiring faith, of course, as we said, these are two aspects of having faith. One is trust in Shastra, and the other is enthusiasm to do something about. And we had this example, if I would suggest that you can earn 100 million euros in a week or something by just doing some little thing, you will be very enthusiastic to complete this process if you would have faith in me, in my words. If you won't have any faith in my words, then you wouldn't do anything. So, but if you would have firm faith in my words, then you would really enthusiastically do it, because it sounds very good deal. So, if we really have faith in Shastra, then we are really enthusiastic to fulfill everything in order to achieve what everyone is looking for, life after life after life. In fact, for all eternity, we are looking just for one thing: to be absolutely, completely happy. In percentage, how much happiness do you want? Yes. 100%. And you, how in percentage, how much distress you want? Yes. Yes. 0%. Yes, exactly. The answer is correct. Of both of you. Yes, we want 100% happiness and 0% distress. And this is possible only if we achieve ahetuki bhakti, unalloyed, um, unconditional love for the Lord. Yes, and uninterrupted. So, if we don't love for a minute, that means this minute we are miserable. Yes. And if our love is not unconditional, if we pray to the Lord for something material, for wealth, for happiness, for health, it's also not unconditional love. We say, please Lord, I serve you in such a way. Please help me to get good wife or good husband, or to pass my exams, or to have a good car or good job, or please make me healthy again because I fell sick, or my relatives are sick. Please make them healthy. So if we have such prayers and desires, this is not unconditional love. It's conditioned. And it is said by Prahlad Maharaj, it is Vanik mentality. You're mostly Indians. You know what is Vanik? What is it? You don't know? Vanik. Vanik means merchant. Merchant. Vanik means merchant. Yes. This is a business deal. If you want anything from the Lord, it's just business deal. Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Yes. So, in order to base our faith in real foundation and to start to inquire about absolute truth, we need guidance of spiritual master. And this is the second phase of our spiritual journey, Sadhu Sanga. And Sadhu Sanga means also spiritual initiation. Yes. And Sadhu Sanga is crucial in our spiritual path. It is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sadhu Sanga Sarva Shastra Hoy, Lava Matra Sadhu Sanga Sarva Siddhi Hoy. That by association of devotees, we can achieve all perfection. We can achieve all perfection. So, and by the help of devotees, we can understand Shastra properly and deeply. And this is also expressed in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, because Maharaj Parikshit is asking Brahmanas about his duty. He was hearing, of course, Shastra before. He was educated man, because he was the emperor of the whole world, and he was very much educated. But still, he, at the end of life, because he was cursed to die in 7 days, he searched for devotee association, that he would receive their blessing and their spiritual insight, that they help him keep his consciousness on the right track, in the right frame of mind. Yes, so this is really important. But because we live in Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, it's very hard to find a bona fide spiritual master. How do we know who is bona fide and who is not? Because there are many cheaters. This is specifically true in Kali Yuga. many cheaters who will promise you moksha, or that means spiritual liberation, or they will promise you that by chanting this and this mantra you will get wealth, or you will disarm your enemies or even kill your enemies, and that this is the point of life, the goal of life, to remove our enemies, that we can enjoy happily after this. It's one thought of one European thinker, or I forgot the name, who was it, him, but it was nevertheless interesting. He said, oh, it's I'm so sorry that I didn't take birth 80 years later, because all my enemies would be dead. So, of course, we would have new enemies. Yes. So it's important to really correctly understand Shastra, and to correctly understand our goal. And to achieve this, we need guidance of bona fide spiritual master. And so, to help us, Rupa Goswami explained who is bona fide spiritual master in his booklet, Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction. He begins with this because it's so important, and he says, Vacha vegam manasa krodha vegam jihva vegam uttarapasta vegam etan vegam vishahita dira sarvam apimam pritivim sashishyat. Vacha vegam means that he's able to control different pushes, and the first bodily demand is demand to speak. Vacha vegam. Vacha means speech. Vacha vegam. Vegam means this pushing or demand or instinct. Vacha vegam. So it's very important to hear what someone is speaking. And of course, we should also know some scriptural instructions, what the scriptures are teaching. So by this, we can see who is bona fide and who is not, and what does he speak. If his talk and his speech is in accordance with Shastra, yes. So, or is he just gossiping, or have some personal interest? So one should be very eager to check what one is speaking about. Yes, and first, of course, we should know as far as possible, because it's very little in our power. But as far as possible, know what Shastra is teaching. Yes. So we can check first. We said speech of the so-called spiritual master, that we can check if he's bona fide or not. Vacha vegam. Next is manasa. Manasa means mind. So this is a little harder to check, but usually it says in the Bible, whatever there is in your heart, that your mouth will speak. So whatever is one's mind, he will speak about this. So we can check the mind also by his speech. Yes, and by his behavior, and by his goals, by his intentions. So we should be very careful to examine what are the intentions and what is the goal of someone. If he has the goal to control other people, or he wants some profit or adoration. Yes, this is very important to know. Or yes, or he's just teaching Bhagavata-dharma, the highest knowledge, absolute truth, how to achieve this unalloyed, uninterrupted, unconditional love, because this is our goal. Yes, if he's teaching unconditional love and an uninterrupted love, and he doesn't expect anything from anyone, as Jesus also said, I'm coming from a Christian background, so please excuse me if I use these examples from the Bible. He said, you received it freely, this knowledge, so you should give it freely. So if someone wants some Lakshmi, money, for example, for initiation or for anything, he's most probably not bona fide. Or if there is whole system which you have pay here and there, and for your so-called spiritual development, this is not bona fide system, of course. Of course, we should contribute for the Lord. This is our duty. We should give everything for the Lord, without any reservation, but not that someone demands anything from us. It's the difference. So, yes, Manasa Vegam. Krodha Vegam is the next one. Krodha means what? Anger. Yes, anger. Anger is very difficult to control if you're not self-realized and controlled, self-controlled. Yes, and it is said by Lord Krishna in 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Kama yesha krodha yesha rajoguna samudbhava mahashano mahapapma videnami havarinam. That this is the worst enemy, is lust and anger. From unfulfilled lust comes anger, and is all-devouring, sinful enemy of the world. Yes, because of lust and anger, which is called also in Shastra as Kamanuja. Kamanuja means younger brother of lust. Kama is lust, and Anuja is younger brother. So anger is younger brother of lust. Because if our lust is unfulfilled, anger arises, and is all destructive force in this world. Every war, everything in this world, every hatred comes from unfulfilled lust, or fear that our lust won't be fulfilled. Yes. So if he blaze into wrath someone, then he's not, most probably not a bona fide master, spiritual master. And of course, that doesn't mean that a bona fide spiritual master never gets angry. But there is a vast difference between uncontrolled anger and controlled anger. Because saintly person uses everything in service of Krishna. So if he considers that anger would help someone to correct himself, then he uses this as a tool of serving this person. Because saintly person, and of course spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master is a saintly person, his whole life, his mission in life is to serve others. Because we said this love, unconditional love, which is our goal, is expressed through service. There is no love without service. So, bona fide spiritual master is one whose mission in life is to serve every living entity, in fact. Yes. Because he sees every living entity as a part and parcel of Krishna. Yes. Because Krishna himself is saying this. Mamaivam shur jiva luki jiva bhutak sanatana. That we are part and parcel of Krishna eternally. Not that in one point we won't be his part anymore. Or that there was a point in time that we weren't his part, that we weren't existing. We are always existing, and we will always exist as part of parcel of Krishna. So the purpose of spiritual master is to serve every living entity, to engage in Krishna's service, and to slowly raise their consciousness, or even better, if we do it fastly, to spiritual level, to achieve this spiritual success of unalloyed love. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mayi ki jai, Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai, Nitai Gaura Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol. Yes, so the next point is Jihva Vigam. Jihva means tongue. Yes, tongue. And tongue, as described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is most uncontrollable of our senses. Uncontrollable. Most difficult to control. Tongue. Yes. Yes. The tongue. Because tongue has two functions. One is to speak, and we discussed this already as Vachovegam. And the next one is to taste. So if someone is attached to taste tasty things, this is a sign that he's not controlled. Yes. So if he wants to have tasty dishes every day, or he's attached to have them, he's not controlled. So he's not bona fide spiritual master. Yes. So we can check this. Hare Krishna. You switched off the mic. Oh. Hare Krishna. Yes. So this is very important also to observe. If he's satisfied with anything he receives, there should be some delicious things. Of course, that doesn't mean that he should reject if there is something delicious, but he should not have craving for delicious things, and that he's very satisfied with anything he receives. Yes, this is Jihva Vigam. And then our Uparapasta Vigam. That means Udara means belly. And that means that someone is ferocious eater. That means he eats too much. He's also not controlled. Yes. And this is simple to check. If we have too much bodily fat, we eat more than required. Yes, this is very simple. Yes, because Shastra and Acharyas are saying that we should eat just to keep our body and soul together, basically to be healthy. But if we want to enjoy more than this is in fact the enjoyer mentality. We want to be enjoyer. And this is the position of Krishna, as said in 5th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, Bhoktaram yaga tapasam. He's the Bhokta, he's the enjoyer. So everything should be in his pleasure. So if we eat more than required, that means that we don't think just about Krishna's pleasure, but also about our pleasure. Yes, this is prominent in our life. So we shouldn't eat too much. And it's also said in the next shloka, next verse of Rupa Goswami, in what is detrimental for spiritual progress is eating too much. And the first thing he mentions, atyahara, is eating too much. Because this doesn't mean just that we are uncontrolled, but that we are absorbed in bodily mentality, that we identify with the body and want to please it. Yes, want to please it. And this is, of course, our tendency to please Krishna, but in wrong direction. Yes, because every living entity is always the servant, if he accepts it or not. So if we don't serve Krishna, we definitely serve our body and mind. Immediately after we get up, what do we do in the morning? Hopefully in the morning. We go to the toilet, yes, and take shower and so on. So we tend to our bodily needs. So we are servants of our bodily needs. Very faithful servant. Yes. So, and then we feed the body, and we clean the body, and we decorate the body. So we take it just as a deity. We feed it, worship it, do abhishek. Yes. So we are really faithful servants of our body. So our goal should be, of course, to redirect our attention from body to Krishna, and this is the mission of Shastra and of course spiritual teachers. Yes, and then are of course the genitals. If our genitals are uncontrolled, that means that we are far from being bona fide spiritual master. And this illicit sex is very prominent, especially if one gets the position that he's well established and known and popular. So he will use his power and engage very often in illicit activities. So we should observe this. We shouldn't blind ourselves that this is some kind of lila, some divine play of this divine personality. It is not. It's just abominable. Yes. So if one has the uncontrolled senses, he's definitely not a bona fide spiritual master. Yes. And then, of course, we should know how to to walk on our spiritual path, how to practice our spiritual journey, and it is explained by Rupa Goswami then in the second and third and fourth and fifth and so on verses of Upadeshamrita, how we should walk on our spiritual journey. Yes, and of course, to have spiritual association is crucial. Not just spiritual master who directs us, but also other devotees who support our spiritual journey. It's much easier to spiritual progress if we have association of devotees who are eager to advance spiritually. So we should seek not just anyone, because it is can be detrimental for our spiritual progress even if we have association with those who are not serious on their spiritual journey. Yes, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls them Dharma-dvaji. Dharma-dvaji. Dvaja means what? The flag. The flag. And those who are holding the flag of dharma, of or spiritual path, but they don't live accordingly, or they are not eager to advance spiritually. There are such dharma-dvajis. Yes, I'm a devotee. You see, I have tilak, kanti mala, and I go to temple every Sunday, every Saturday, and from time to time I wear devotional dress. Of course, I'm a devotee. And if one is slack in his devotional practice, he will, and if we direct our spiritual life according to these persons who are not really eager to spiritual advance, their influence will be detrimental to our spiritual progress. Yes, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it's more dangerous than the association with atheists and materialists, because we believe that such people are sincere and that they follow the true path of spiritual progress, but they're not in fact, because they don't have enthusiasm. And we said at the beginning that the sign of Shastriya Shraddha is to have enthusiasm. So if we are lacking enthusiasm, this is the sign that our Shraddha is waning away. So we should, or we didn't acquire at all Shastriya Shraddha. Yes. So in order to understand who is bona fide practitioner even of devotional service, Rupa Goswami further explains this, and he says, Atyahara prayasascha prajalpaniyamagraha janasangascha lolyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashati. That there are 6 items that destroy our bhakti. And bhakti is our goal. As we said, a hetuki, a pratihata bhakti, that means unconditional, uninterrupted love, is our goal. Without this, we cannot be happy. So, we should know what is detrimental for our bhakti, don't we? So, and he says, Atyahara, the first thing is Atyahara, too much eating. Too much eating. And also means too much collecting things. That means that we crave for things, that we feel some emptiness in our heart, and so we would like to fulfill it through collecting or overeating. That means bringing something to my body, things or food. Yes. So this is also the sign. If we see with whom we associate, we should be careful. If they eat too much or over collect things, this is a sign that is detrimental for devotional service, as Rupa Goswami says. Shadbir Bhaktir Vinashati. Vinashati means destroys. Yes. Atyahara Prayasa. Prayasa is over endeavoring for material achievements. So if we don't have time to spiritual sadhana practice because of our engagement in the material world, that means we are over endeavoring. We should we should mold our life in accordance to our spiritual practice. If we have more engagements in material world that don't allow us to have enough time for our spiritual practice, that means that we are over endeavoring for material achievements. Yes. So we should be careful to live simply, because if we over endeavor for spiritual achievements, that means that we are not simple in our heart, that we want to achieve something, some higher status, or I don't know whatever we want to achieve. But if we keep our mind that simple life is the key of our spiritual practice, then we should not over endeavor. Yes. So this is important to understand, not to over endeavor. Yes, to mold our life as simply as possible, and to keep our expenses as simple, as close to zero as possible. That was said by Jadvaita Maharaj, and it's true. If we keep our expenses as close to zero as possible, then we will be peaceful. Yes, and we will understand the importance of spiritual practice. If we want to spend too much, then we'll be always disturbed. Always disturbed. Yes. So, prayasa, this is over endeavoring. Prajalpa. Prajalpa is very detrimental for our spiritual progress. And this is gossiping, in fact. Gossiping. And people always gossip about one thing or another, or one person or another person. Always gossiping. In fact, so much so, I read several years ago that gossiping is also in Christianity counted as a sin. So there was one bishop from South America who protested that gossiping is counted as a sin, because he said it's unavoidable. Everyone is gossiping, so it shouldn't be counted as a sin. Yes. But of course, this is not our philosophy. Our philosophy is to devote our heart to Krishna. So, as we said before, what is in our heart, that will be also on our tongue, that we will also speak about, that we'll also think about. Yes. So gossiping, we should know that this propensity for gossiping is detrimental for our spiritual progress. Why is we have this propensity to gossip? Do you have an idea? No idea? Yes, please. Excuse me, I didn't hear you. Yes. You have misinformation or what? Yes, of course uh, we we don't know exactly what is our benefit if we gossip, because gossiping means that we put ourselves in the center. So we want to occupy the position of God. We want to be enjoyer, and we want to be proprietor of everything. So um, anyone who is potentially our competitor for these positions, or he interferes with uh, with our enjoyment mentality um, and proprietorship mentality, he's our enemy. Yes, and so we of course have to talk badly about them to prove to ourselves and to the whole world that he's not deserving this post. And we can do this subconsciously. It doesn't mean that we knowingly want to dethrone this person and put ourselves on the throne. Yes. So, yes, gossiping is extremely detrimental for our spiritual progress. And Niyamagraha. Niyamagraha is very interesting term and means two things. One thing is uh, uh, to just stick to some principles without any value of it. For example, some crude example, to in the middle of the night where there is no one in the street, we just standing on the red light. And, because red light is there for what purpose? Yes. Yes, okay, but why? To avoid accident, exactly. To be safe in the traffic, isn't it? Otherwise, there would be crashes, and to be safe, there is a red light. So, but if there is no one in the street, and we don't see any car far away, and we stand just there. Of course, if we go through, we can be fined by the police. But then this is Yamagraha mentality of the police, just standing there because just of red light, not for any other purpose. Yes, this is Yamagraha. And if we for example, if we worship the deities and comes some elevated personality, for example, our spiritual master, and we don't care for him, and we don't tend for his needs, and don't serve him. Of course, if we are alone, for example, if he comes to our home and we worship the deities, uh, this is also Niyamagraha. We just stick to some worship, but we don't worship Lord's devotees who are most worthy of worship. And Krishna says that worship of my devotee is more important than worship of myself. Yes, Niyamagraha. And other meaning of Niyamagraha is that we don't follow instructions because of our whims. So the conclusion is that we should know why we follow something or not. Yes. So till when it is planned?
So maybe 15 more minutes.
Uh-huh. So yes, and there are 6 more items that help our spiritual progress, and that we can discuss in the afternoon. So spiritual association is really one of the crucial things in our spiritual progress. This is explained that the birds of the same feather flock together. Um, that means whatever association we have, we tend to take their habits and mentality, to acquire their mentality. So if we associate with drunkards, certainly we will begin drinking. Otherwise, why we should keep association of drunkards? So, and we are associating with those who are very enthusiastic in spiritual life, we will also become, because we would be ashamed of our spiritual inactivity and laziness and so on, and materialistic way of thinking. But if we associate with those who are very lack in their devotional practice, we would say, yes, he's also like doing like this. Why should I endeavor? Uh, so this company will act detrimentally on our consciousness. Yes. So it's really important to choose our association. And there is also another aspect of association, and this is our purification. It was said by one Christian monk that it's much easier to live in some desert among wild beasts than with my brothers in the monastery. Why is this?
Clashes of false ego.
Yes, clashes of false ego. Because when you live in the desert or in some cave in Himalayas, then you think I'm a saint. Nothing disturbs me. I'm in complete control of my anger and tongue. I just eat some roots and fruits from the nature, and genitals and so on, and my belly. But when I come in spiritual association of my brothers in the monastery or in the temple, in the ashram, then problems begin. Because inevitably they will step on our ego, and we will step on their ego. And so we have to practice how to become humble. And it is said by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Trinada Pisanichna, Tororiva Sahishnana, Amanina Manadina Kirtanaya Ksatahari. In order to devote ourselves to the Lord by chanting of His holy names, which is the most potent spiritual practice, we should be humbler than a straw in the street. Yes. And tolerant as a tree. And don't expect any respect for oneself, but be prepared to give all respect to others. Yes. By this attitude, we can always chant the holy name. We can always have the Lord in our heart. Yes. So association is really important. learn how to become humble. And as we discussed yesterday, what is humbleness? Many of you weren't yesterday at this gathering. What is humbleness? To know our position. Yes, to know our position. If we pretend to be someone who we are not, then we are crazy. Yes. And this is the characteristic of every living entity in this world, that he identifies with something they're not. So everyone is crazy in this world. Everyone is crazy. Until and unless we understand that we are a spiritual part and parcel of Krishna and his eternal servant. So we act from this level of understanding that we are Krishna's eternal servant. And this is much easier to acquire this consciousness in association of other devotees. Yes, under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. Okay, do you have any questions? Any objections? Yes, please.
Thank you for the class, Prabhuji. I have few questions, maybe a little challenging also.
Yes,
Sorry
yes.
for that.
Can you close the windows, please, because it's so noisy.
Yeah, so like the first one I would ask is like, is Guru already destined, or do we choose the Guru, or the Guru chooses us? Like, what happens exactly? Is it already destined? Who is going to be our Guru in future?
If it is destined,
Yeah.
Krishna knows, of course. But it is our choice and in choice of our Guru also. It's in fact our duty to check our spiritual master as far as possible, as far as in our capacity. So we should approach Guru sincerely. This is first prerequisite. And to inquire, of course, submissively, as Krishna says, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upatikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. That you should approach Guru very submissively, Tadvidi pranipatena. That you should learn this knowledge by falling down before Guru and then inquire from him submissively. Yes. So we should approach Guru with this eagerness for to inquire. And Guru should also test us if we are sincere. Yes. This is important because especially in this age there are many cheaters among gurus and among disciples also. I want this and this guru because he's very popular and he's famous, and I'll be famous if I have such guru. And or he's lenient, he will not demand too much from me. This is also not proper attitude in choosing one's guru. And guru should, of course, check if the disciple is sincere and eager to spiritually advance, or is just some social pressure or some fashion in question. Yes, this is both ways. Yeah. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any instruction on this. If it would be just some destiny, why should be there any instruction on this? Guru Padasha Tasmat. That means, therefore, you should accept the Guru. Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam. Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam. Yes, that you should take diksha and shiksha from your guru. That means spiritual initiation and instruction from your guru. So both. If this is instruction of the Shastra, of Holy Scriptures, that means it's not just something predestined. Yes. And it's something that we should follow this instruction. Yes. Yes. And I think this is the answer to your question.
Prabhuji, also like you talked about atyahara.
Yes.
So if someone is doing atyahara, then that person is not qualified to become a guru, like that you said. And the measure you gave is the external appearance. But many times I've also heard that we should not judge gurus by the external appearance. And if, because many Diksha gurus and many devotees, great devotees, are fat. And to judge them based on that, like what you said, is that all right?
Yes, we should be careful also, because many of bona fide spiritual masters who are fat have received this instruction from their guru, for example. I know for one example for sure, because he was too much good looking, and instruction of Prabhupada was that he should become fat, that he wouldn't be attractive to the opposite sex. Yes. So if this is instruction, of course, this overrides everything else. But of course, we should know that overeating is never good for our spiritual development. And if someone maybe is very elevated devotee, but still has some little problem maybe with something, so we should be careful. Maybe it's not detrimental, but we should still be careful and examine further. I just would like to ask if there is any other question. I would really love to hear your questions, but if there is someone who would like to ask anything, please.
So, Guruji, so you mentioned we all are part of Krishna.
Yes.
Why is there so much misery? Why is someone who does so bad things? There are people who does good, but then if at all they're part of Krishna, how can
Yes.
they do bad things?
Because we are Bahirmukha. There are two kinds of living entities, Bahirmukha and Antarmukha. Bahirmukha is someone who is turning away from Krishna and searching happiness in this way. And he puts, as we said, himself in the center. Not Krishna in the center, but his body, basically, and his mind in the center. And wants to be bhokta, that means the enjoyer, and wants to be proprietor of everything. Krishna says in 5th chapter of Bhagavata-dharma, Bhoktaram yagatapasan sarvaloka maheshwaram sukhridam sarvabhutanam gyatmamam shantim richati. So I'm the enjoyer of all bhoktapa yaga tapasam, of all sacrifices and all tapasa, that means austerities. But everything in our life is a mixture of sacrifice and austerity. For example, you came today here, you sacrificed your time not to do any other things in this time. So this is kind of sacrifice. And you go to job, you sacrifice your time. You could be with your family or anyone else. And of course, tapasa means austerity. And this austerity is also some kind of endeavor. We always do something, and this means endeavor. Even sitting is endeavor. Yes, especially like this. Becomes painful after some time. So every endeavor, even if we eat, to move our hand is also an endeavor. So every endeavor should be meant for Krishna's satisfaction, and every sacrifice should be meant for Krishna's satisfaction. And if it's not, then it means that we are bahirmukha, that we want to ourselves to be enjoyers and ourselves to be proprietors of things. So, and that's why we don't want others to make potential or to be detrimental for our world. We create our world around ourselves, in which we want to achieve these goals, to be enjoyer and to be proprietor. Understand? And if someone endangers this our position, he's my enemy, so I should destroy him. So this mentality of destroying others and hating others is just because we don't accept Krishna. Krishna didn't created this. Krishna teaches us otherwise. I'm the enjoyer and I'm proprietor, and everyone should live accordingly. So if we, for example, if we are throwing stones in the water in different places, then the waves will destroy each other. But if we throwing the stones in one point, then the waves will be harmonically, concentrically going out. So the same is in this life. If we put Krishna in our center, every living entity puts Krishna in its center, then everything is harmoniously. But if we put ourselves in the center and we forget about Krishna, then everything is in conflict in all levels of existence, in fact. Yes. So we should purify our existence, and with Krishna conscious process, and with chanting of his holy names, associating with devotees, with honoring just prasad and not material food, and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Devotional life starts with hearing Shravanam, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita from pure devotees, from devotees who at least try to be pure devotees, who are very eager to become pure devotees. Yes, this is the process. And then it will be harmony. As Krishna says, Shanti Mrichati. Then everyone will be peaceful. Hare Krishna. Any other question? Okay. Your turn again.
So many times some people simply quote from Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada also pointed out that they are quoting simply one or two verses, but they are not accepting the Bhagavad Gita entirely.
Yes.
So that is like Ardha Kutkuti Nyaya that
Yes.
Prabhupada mentioned. So similarly, like when we quote Bible or Quran, which conforms to our understanding, our philosophy.
Yes.
So wouldn't that also be like Ardha Kutkuti Nyaya related to Bible and Quran if we check them?
Yes, exactly.
And would like quoting such verses from Bible and Quran would also be like Vachavegam?
This is dependent on our purpose. If we want to establish the authority of Lord, this is according also to these scriptures, to Quran or Bible, and to Bhagavad Gita and to Srimad Bhagavatam and all Vedic scriptures, then it's kirtanam, it's glorifying the Lord. But if we use these quotes for I don't know, for some selfish purpose, then it is detrimental for our spiritual progress. Yes, and it is said also, it's one proverb that even the devil cites the Bible.
I didn't understand.
Even the devil cites are citing from Bible.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yes, so we should see what's the purpose of such citing the scriptures. If the purpose is to establish the Lord as the enjoyer and proprietor, basically, then this citation from scripture is bona fide, and it's according to Shastra, to all Shastra, in fact. And if it is for some other purpose, then it's misuse of Shastra. Yes.
But it would still be Ardha-Kutkuti Nyaya only.
Yes, yes, because we should our mentality is to cut off the head of the hen. This Ardha-Kutkuti Nyaya, for those who don't know, is to have a chicken, and we want to have eggs because they can bring us some fortune. But we don't want the head of the chicken because the head eats food and we don't want to feed it. So we want just benefit without any austerity, without any endeavoring. So we this Ardha-Kutkuti Nyaya is to cut off the head of a chicken and expect eggs just to have eggs. But of course, if we kill the chicken, there will be no eggs. So if we use Shastra and we want to cut the head of Shastra, that means what is necessary for our spiritual progress, and what is the absolute truth, then no eggs will get from such Shastra. Just blood. Yes.
We also although we like we say that okay, Bible and Quran, okay, but also there are many other traditions in India, bhakti traditions who are worshipping Krishna, but they are not coming under the four sampradayas, but they are not doing anything like any breaking any four regulative principles, or they are also chanting Krishna's name only, but they are not coming under the four sampradayas. So
Yes.
although we sometimes we say that okay, if you are Christian or if you are a Muslim, it's okay, but many times we criticize those who are not falling under the four sampradayas only. Although they might be practicing everything, but still if they are not under four sampradayas, we reject them also. So how do we understand this?
Yes, this is very important question. I think there is mentioned in Puranas that I forgot exactly the verse. Sampradaya. Yes, yes, exactly. So without accepting initiation in bona fide sampradaya, our mantras will have no effect because it is protected by the Lord. If we don't, and why is this? Basically, it's because of false ego. Because of false ego, we don't accept spiritual authority. So we study Shastra ourselves and establish it what is correct and what is not correct. And maybe we are right in this interpretation, but we don't want to surrender, basically. We want ourselves to be guru, but we don't want to surrender to any guru. That's bogus. Understand
Yes.
the point? So bona fide guru is a bona fide disciple. If someone is not bona fide disciple himself, he cannot be bona fide guru. And Krishna says, Acharyamam Vijaniyam Naman Maneta Karhichit. Was the later part? Acharyamam Vijaniyam Naman Maneta Karhichit. Yes, I'm Acharya. Namartya Buddha Sueta Sarvadeva Maya Guru. I am the Acharya, says Krishna. So, and he establishes this process of accepting spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, just to remove our most deep-rooted defect, to, as we said before, to put ourselves in the center, and that we don't want to accept any authority. And Krishna puts the test in front of us. I come as an acharya in bona fide sampradaya that I established. And if you don't want to accept this, that means you don't want to put anyone in the center. Basically, you don't want to put myself in the center, and you just surrender to some idea of the Lord, but practically you don't want to follow my instruction, because my instruction is to accept instruction of bona fide spiritual master. Yes, and if we don't accept this, then we are not bona fide. Yes, and our chanting will be useless. Yes, because of our attitude is not correct. Yes. Any other? Have any question?
Okay. So sometimes people, like you talked about Shraddha. Sometimes people get more attracted towards miracles than scriptures, and although they are given scriptural knowledge, everything, they ask for some incidents of miracles, and that's what they want to verify the shastras being true. So although, like, if we try to convince them scripturally, like from the shastras, they still want to confirm it through some miraculous incidents, and when, or some divine experience from some guru, like that.
Yes.
So how do we respond in that case? Because I don't think we preach much about miracles. I don't usually hear about miracles, but I hear usually about shastras only.
Yes.
But some people are like, they demand miracles only. So how do?
There is one great miracle just in front of our eyes, and that we speak from Bhagavatam in Berlin. This is the greatest miracle, in fact. And Prabhupada was asked the same question, and he, of course, we know, he said that I turned hippies into happies. This is my miracle. This is my miracle. Yes. So others can produce ashes. And what's the use of ashes? I can also produce ashes. I lit fire and ashes will be there. Or maybe some gold. But what's the use of this? No one can take gold when he dies with himself. So, but miracle is to turn our face from metta to Krishna, from Bahirmukha to Antarmukha, that we turn to Krishna. This is miracle. This is true miracle. Because from time immemorial, we are turning away from Krishna. So our only hope is to turn to Krishna. And this is the miracle. We can turn to Krishna by this process. Yes. And many have turned to Krishna through this process. And we have also the opportunity. Yes, this is the miracle. Yes, most definitely. That I started the path of devotional service, this is miracle. Really. Because I don't have such nice past that I would be saintly or anything like this. But just to start it, and I don't say that I achieved anything special, but just to start it is miracle. So please, if someone is considering starting it, just start it. Just inquire about absolute truth, as it's said by all the scriptures. Jivasya tattva jigyasa. We live for inquiring about absolute truth. So we shouldn't live for gratifying our senses, because animals also do this. So we should inquire about absolute truth and how to achieve it. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for your attention. We'll continue our seminar this afternoon, I believe. At 4 o'clock starts the lecture. So please come. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mayi ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari.